What's going on out there, everybody? Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to give a review for Tron Ares. This is starring Jared Leto and a slew of amazing actors and actresses. We're going to kind of get into this world that's connected with Greta Lee, Evan Peters, and Cameron Monaghan. There's also some other surprises here or there, but before I get to those surprises, and this is a non-spoiler review, I'm going to bring up my whole entire host cast. What's going on, guys?
What is up?
So,
welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another JBS movie review.
Yo, what's up? SCL0330. We're back.
exactly.
Oh, goodness. Why? Why?
JBS ain't gonna stop.
Anyway, so Tron Ares, you guys. The last Tron movie we had, I think the first one came out in 2010. That was Tron Legacy, and then the first one that came out was in 1982. So this one, this time around, this is now everything that was in the grid, some kind of a way through Encore or Incom. They found a way of taking what was on the grid and putting it in real life. So it's a reverse or switch, even though we saw certain signs of that in the second one. Now they've brought that to fruition, and Jared Leto's character Ares is at the forefront of this. So guys, what were your expectations going into this, and also what is your connection in like Tron as a whole? Like, did you like the Tron series? Did you like the first one or the second one? Where are you at with that? I'll let Jorge go because he's up the front of the top.
There we go. All right. No, I really enjoyed the Tron series. I enjoyed. I think I'm the only one. I may be the only one here who enjoyed the second one. I thought the second one was very enjoyable. And yeah, I mean, I came into this once again. Didn't even see a trailer on it. I was actually shocked to see Evan Peters. So that was kind of cool. But I literally came into this blind, and yeah, I came out enjoying it.
Yes, sir. Next up, Mike.
Mm-hmm. So, as the young millennial, old Gen Z, I was 12 years old when Tron Legacy came out. And I'm part of the crew. It was like, listen, it's a guilty pleasure of mine. I like the film. I really enjoyed, that Daft Punk soundtrack, the Disc Wars and everything. That soundtrack, I still, listen to it from time to time, once in every while, and now 13 years later, here we are with the sequel. So, and I've been waiting for a follow-up to this for a very long time. Now in terms of the original film, again, I didn't know much about it. I know my dad watched it, and I can see why he didn't like it. Yeah, because it was kind of hard to follow, I'm not going to lie. But the second one to me was still standing test of time for me. It was like, yeah, I enjoy it. I know not everybody loved it, but I did. So yeah, it was nice to get to return back to this world and see how this grid has evolved over 13 years later.
Thank you, Mike. And Lucas, what is your connection to Tron and going into this
one? I saw the first one in like 88, I want to say. Somewhere around that time I saw the first one. 87, 88. I saw the first one. I'm not that old. This movie came out the year I was born. But I do remember seeing this in the late 80s. So the first Tron, which it was just a visual spectacle that like just made me question like how far everything could go. By the time we got to Legacy, it was visually stunning, an amazing soundtrack, yet and still it just wasn't a good movie. So because of that, and with Uprising also, which I tried to watch like a couple episodes of it, and that was also not good, not well written. So I didn't have huge expectations going into this movie. I just expected at minimum, I assumed we would get a good soundtrack and that visually it would look really stunning.
Yeah. And I mean, I think for me, like the first one, like I didn't watch until much later. I think I was in college when I first looked at the very first one. But the second one was really near and dear to my heart. Like from a visual aesthetic and how they handled lighting and camera work, like I thought visually and the scope of it, as long as like we even thinking about like Daft Punk with the soundtrack, I think that they handled it with so much care. Like to me, it was one of the best soundtracks that was incorporated with any movie. So with this one, with Daft Punk not being in it, I was a little hesitant that I wouldn't have that same exact atmospheric like resonance that I did with Tron Legacy. And I know Nine Inch Nails and what they are, but I was a little concerned of what it was going to be. And on top of that, I didn't see anything that seemed like a connection to Tron Legacy. So I didn't know if this was going to be a retake, a reboot, or if they were going completely off kilter. And the fact that this is taking place in the real world, I was kind of like, I want more of the grid, you know? So that was kind of where I was going into it. I just like Jorge, I hadn't seen any of the trailers. I didn't get to see some of the big sneak peeks and previews or anything like that. So I went into this kind of blind. But now let's go ahead and get to our thoughts of the movie. First off, soundtrack. What was our thoughts on the soundtrack? Off rip. Go ahead.
I could go.
Yeah.
I've never been physically assaulted by a soundtrack like I was in the first 45 minutes of Tron. I literally felt like I needed Olivia Benson and Stabler to come and save me, as I felt it was touching me in inappropriate places. This sound, I don't know if it's just I didn't know if it was an issue with seeing it in IMAX or if they just amped it up just in case you were seeing it on not seeing it on a PLE screen. But man, the tremble and bass at the beginning of this movie, it feels too physical to be enjoyable. Yeah. And it literally drowns out some of the dialogue in the film because of it. It is a very weird thing that it went that hard in the beginning. By the time you get halfway through the movie, it does mellow out a little bit, and you do get to appreciate what they were attempting to do with Nine Inch Nails in this film. But I'll point out what me and Jorge talked about after the movie when I said it's the difference between it being a Nine Inch Nails composed movie versus being a Trent Reznor composed film. You really feel a difference when you're watching it.
Yeah, very true on that one. Yeah, no, I think it's hard to follow up Daft Punk and how perfect that soundtrack was. I think with this one, what was disappointing, it's the mixing just felt so off. There was no real balance in the beginning of the movie. You basically had all treble, but like uncomfortable, like treble. In the middle, it kind of mellowed out a little bit, and I think in the middle, you kind of got a little bit of that Trent Reznor, almost like a Social Network type of like sound, which was just very smooth, soothing, and flowed very nice with the action. And then near the end, it almost felt like you were at like a Daft Punk cover band, almost like trying to act like Daft Punk, but it balanced out near the end. And I think the problem was like it felt like it was multiple people mixing this and composing this. Instead of it just being one voice. And the biggest thing, which Lucas kind of touched on, is you could very much tell that this was Nine Inch Nails and not a Trent Reznor soundtrack. Because some of it was just very gritty and loud, and almost forcefully loud, instead of just kind of letting the music flow with the action scenes. It almost like it was trying to be its own character in a way, which it just didn't translate well for me.
Mike, thoughts on the
soundtrack? Again, Daft Punk will forever stay in my brain, with this franchise. And I felt this is a lackluster, I want to say, replacement they're trying to find, because Daft Punk, they broke up and everything. Thank you. But I felt they were trying to get the essence of Daft Punk, but they're missing the balance that legacy gave in that particular era back in, I think it was 2010. And with this is more, you get a lot of, again, treble, like with no bass. Again, they're taking you high pitches and stuff in terms of you feeling the adrenaline, but they don't know when to actually take you on the ride that it's supposed to simulate in terms of the Tron, Disney theme park ride, in terms of like a roller coaster. It's not just taking you up all the way, way, way high, and it's all right, ride's over. No, we're going in different stages here. And a few moments you get that in this film, but like 9 times out of 10, it was mostly where it felt okay. I was getting a little bit too much of in terms of the high pitch of just terms of soundtrack, just going with the de-resing and everything like that. And I honestly feel like 9 Inch Nails was used as as propaganda, as name value, than actually any visual or I want to say any actual harmony you feel in this actual film compared to what Daft Punk, like that's their signature, that's their stamp, and they're like, yep, that's who they are. 9 Inch Nails, you probably didn't know who they were if you are, a fan of them. But if you're not a fan of them, you're like, okay, like, hey, why are they trying to be like Daft Punk? They're not good at it. So that's what you get in this movie.
Yeah.
I want to say something. Oh my god. Oh my god. I can't. Go ahead, Sam. I'm sorry.
So,
I'm sorry.
no, I was just gonna. All I was just gonna say is that I think the problem is there are moments it's going and peaking too much. A lot of time it just is not. You don't feel the flow. I think in the very beginning they made a really interesting transition before you got to the title screen that I was like, okay, this is the theme that we're gonna go at. It's gonna build and level out. They just went up really quick depending on certain scenes. Towards the second, the first, the second, the third transition act, that second act, they do a really good job right there. And there are some decent songs, there's some decent tracks and moments, but it's very fleeting. And I think unfortunately it's kind of incoherent. And it doesn't leave a lasting impression like unfortunately what Daft Punk did. But the next transition that I was going to go into, or a good segue, is I'll use an example. There's a sequence in this one that takes place in the grid, in the water, and on top of the water. And I thought it was a really well positioned action scene. And so I was going to ask you guys from a visual effects standpoint, camera work, and just action, how did this line up against the other two movies? Or how was this as far as action and visual aesthetic for you guys? But go ahead, Lucas. You also had something you were going to go into.
Mike made 9 Inch Nails sound like a cover band that didn't exist by him saying, I don't know if you know who they are or who people. Everyone knows who 9 Inch Nails is, Mike. Everybody. That was so disrespectful. I just had to bring it up. I've never heard.
I'm just talking about with this particular franchise. You just mentioned about balance because it's like I know 9 Inch Nails deal.
You said, I don't know if y'all know who 9 Inch Nails is. Everyone knows who 9 Inch Nails is.
Well, you got everyone who's over the age of 35.
Oh my God. I mean, literally, this is Reznor has another film coming out at the same time this one is, whose score is better than this one. And that's After the Hunt with Julia Roberts. Like,
okay, well, it's a
lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff here. And I'll say it's literally because, and then we'll go to the next one, Sam. It's literally because I think people only think of Daft Punk now. Mm-hmm. You new people when you think of Tron. And I think that's the problem. And that's the disconnect. Because what Daft Punk did was just 80s sync pop. They literally said, we need someone who could duplicate what we believe Tron always sounded like, and then do it in a movie. And that's what you got from Daft Punk. With 9 Inch Nails, it was what's going to be next, because we can't duplicate that with Daft Punk. Not because Daft Punk broke up, because there's plenty of bands that do that 80s sync sound, but they wanted an evolution of that sound. And then you bring in the ultimate Gen X band in 9 Inch Nails to do it, and that was just a mistake. I mean, Journey did the first one. Like that, to really put like perspective on Tron, the first soundtrack was spearheaded by Journey.
Yeah.
Michael.
But Lucas, what about action, visual effects, and visual aesthetic in this time around?
Visually, you're gonna get what you expect to get from Tron here. It's at times it's fascinating to see the world that they build, the cyber world that they build here with Tron. That's what you come to see here. I think it was a disappointment when we got to the real world. It became too gimmicky and cartoonish. And I think that's the part that they didn't fully understand. Like that takes away from the enjoyment of Tron. But in the few scenes that we do get in the grid, they're really perfected well. And I think that's what people who, if you're into visuals, if that's what you love Tron for, I think you'll get it in that aspect of it. Just don't expect it when we get to them transferring it to the real world.
Jorge?
Yeah, I think visually I loved it. I thought it was very well done. I think in terms of action, that's a good one. Comparing this one to Legacy, I think this one definitely had unique, longer action sequences. Like the water one was nice. There's a couple motorcycle ones, obviously. But just seeing them in the real world with the light cycles was just really neat. Just kind of seeing how that whole thing played out. But overall, yeah, I would say visually this was, if you want more of that, grid, you're gonna get it. And it's phenomenal seeing how it's evolved from the original Tron to Tron Legacy to what you're seeing now, kind of, and how it's building upon it now. That aspect of it was really, really neat for me, just watching that evolution.
Yeah, no, I agree. Mike?
In terms of the action, again, those parts that do have put a smile on my face, again, kind of returning like that nostalgia factor of Legacy. Because again, I love the combat in Legacy, and I love the combat in this movie. I wish we kind of get a little bit more into it. Like that's where you just let those scenes breathe. Then we actually, actually get to why some of us like Tron to begin with. I do feel like in terms of my biggest issue with the action came with more of the plot holes that was in this film that led into action scenes, where while I'm watching a great choreographed action scene, back in my head I'm asking, okay, plot wise, this should be over like now or about 5 minutes ago. But again, and with that, because of the story they lay in terms of the foundation, it keeps poking me behind instead of me fully enjoying some of these action scenes and taking my brain away and just enjoying it for what it is. But I can't, because this is a film that has story, beginning, middle, and end, and also a plot, whatever, lack thereof, whatever. Those story is what feeds action scenes, and when you have the actual story giving you questioning the action scenes, and it's like, damn, it's like you kind of waste the potential of like all the, not only just the choreograph, but the money in terms of visual effects, and dedication in terms of editing, all that in those 5 minutes, and some of them might even be longer, scenes of you just going on for this ride, and you're like, okay, I'm questioning because of plot reasons why I'm not fully enjoying this scene. But from face value, great. Love the choreographing, love the visual effects, these action scenes and everything. It remind me why I love Tron. So
yeah, we're definitely gonna segue after this into the acting and then the plot itself. But as far as the visual aesthetic, I agree with Lucas. When you're in the grid, when you're in, dude, it's golden. Like even some of from coming off of Legacy to this, they've evolved the way that some of the mechanics work, the way that some of the weapons work, even like the vehicles. Like I actually love aesthetically how that looked. And now even in the very beginning, like once you kind of see what happens when something transfers from there to the real world and how that mechanically works, I thought that was really interesting touch. Definitely some 3D printing vibes. I don't know how they evolved into that. But I did think it was really interesting how they handle some of the chase sequences in the real world. I think the problem is that when you go into like the second act and some of the things that happen, I just I don't know. I think it becomes a little bit too gimmicky. But I think a part of that also, to Mike's point, I just didn't like certain things about the third act. And part of it is based on the choices. And I think it has to do with, at the core of the characters, who these characters are, what their capability is, what are their motivations. And once you really understand it, if that's provided to you effectively, then you'll understand why they're doing what they're doing with fighting, why they're holding back in certain moments. But that's not clearly conveyed in the way that it's actually scripted. But at the same time, I wasn't looking for a masterful script with this, and I wasn't looking for great acting. But I did find it funny that you got Emmy winners, two like Oscar nominees, one Oscar winner in this. So you would think, maybe you get something different. But I guess the next transition is going to be talking about the acting, talking about the script. I'll go first on this just because, for the sake of time, the first one, going back and watching the first one, as a tech geek, like I actually really loved that. It just seemed so, how do I put it? It was a natural progression. Like, what's happening. Once you get an understanding what's going on and you understand like the mechanics of it, you're like, oh, okay, this is why this is happening. Point A, point B, clear and simple, straightforward, which is why a lot of people say the first one stands the test of time. The second one, it needs the first one to establish what's going on. But at the same time, it also relies a lot on the visuals. It relies on the soundtrack. And so certain moments between the second and third act don't translate as well when you think about like longevity of the actual storyline, but it's enough to be like a feel-good movie. Like you would enjoy yourself just from the atmosphere, so from a cinema standpoint. So that's why I always would say I really love the second one, regardless of what I think about the scripting of it. The problem with this one is, unfortunately, there are certain things in this from the second to third act that just don't land because you don't know the direction of the trajectory of this story arc. And I think that they were moving in a direction that I just didn't anticipate. But I think more than anything, they didn't clearly define certain characters that they honed in on and focused on. Like Greta, we know she's an amazing actor, but there are certain motivational things that she was doing in here. It was kind of like just shooting the gun. And I felt like it was kind of like they're throwing this character here because we're supposed to feel something, as opposed to there being a natural progression. And it's like with her and Jared Leto, not to say they don't have chemistry, but there were just certain character motivations that just didn't line up because things were moving too quickly and it wasn't like resolved enough. I think we had a conversation where it was like maybe this would have been better suited as a series or a mini series, kind of spawning to go somewhere else. But for me, that was one of the weaker sides. Like as much as the first act, like it was just really loud and whatnot, like I did enjoy it from entertainment value. It gave me that vibes that I wanted from Legacy, that exploration of where we're going, the wonder behind that. Second act, I was like, okay. But by the time we got to the third act, I was kind of over much of the things that was going on in the real world. But there are some saving grace with Evan Peters' character. As much as they don't really utilize him, I did like where his character went towards the back half. But outside of that, I don't know if I cared enough about any of the actual characters. Some of the side characters in this one, I really don't know if I actually cared about or not. And it's weird to say that in a movie like this, because you have to gravitate towards certain characters in a way that you're like, okay, I want to move forward with this and I want to be able to rewatch this. But I'm gonna go to Jorge. What was your thoughts on characters and story progression?
Yeah, I think characters I thought were done well, and I think for me, like the more I thought about this movie, like just driving home, you almost have to look at this movie from three different lenses, and depending on which one you look at it almost depends on how much you will enjoy the movie. From like a tech and like a geeky side of the house, like from an AI point of view, I thought it was so neat how they used it. From a, because it truly is how AI works. So like it's almost like if you want a very simple class in like how AI works, you can watch this movie and truly understand, you know, how quickly AI can evolve and learn things and move on from, like, build upon it. Story wise, there were plots like this isn't gonna win any, you know, any awards for, like, you know, best story and all that. I think you go into these movies just for the fun factor of it, like to escape into another reality. And for me, like, I can overlook a lot of the issues and the I guess some of, like, the holes that needed to get plugged in. I will say a character that, you know, because for me, like, Evan Peters, loved what he did. You know, I thought he did awesome. Greta, same thing. Jared Leto, like, you know what you're gonna get. One guy who, like, I completely love, and he didn't have a huge role in it, but it was just fun, was Arturo Castro. And anything he's in, like, he finds a way of being like that background character that has such a fun little, like, important, like, tiny role, you know. And he was one that I truly enjoyed. Yeah, this dude right here. He's just, he's the perfect, like, background person that you kind of forget is there, and then he makes, like, one funny line, or he'll say something, and it just sticks. You know, there were other characters in here that, you know, I thought, you know, like the CTO of the company. You know, I thought he was kind of lost a little bit. I felt they could have used kind of like his wittiness and his style a little bit more, and that's Hassan, who's you know, a very well known comedian. But overall, I mean, I thought they did really well. I was not a fan of Athena. I will say I thought her character was a little too one-sided, and I don't know if that was the, you know, obviously that's kind of like the purpose because she's a program, but I wish we could have seen a little bit more for a little bit different style or swagger, because I think, you know, looking at Tron Legacy, especially, like, some of the programs, like, almost had their own style to them and their own kind of swagger, and I felt she was just a little too rigid, and I don't know if that was how they wanted it to be, or if that's just because, you know, that's how she did it. But overall, you know, I I thought the acting was exactly what I was expecting. Let's go with that.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to comment. I think that Dillinger's program from the first one, Clue from the second one, her in this one, they literally are playing by the same exact numbers. This is almost spot for spot. I think that a lot of the things that Clue did in Legacy reminded me so much of her. And I don't know if that's just because of how a program's actually done. It's a directive, but
Yeah,
that's what they try to play it off, but it's just not as engaging or as interesting, unfortunately. But Lucas, what about you? Plot, characters?
Okay. The characters and acting, atrocious is a first word that comes to mind. None of these characters are believable. These are as stock as characters that you can get in a sci-fi movie ever. Like it was insert character here. It felt more like Jupiter Ascending as I was watching this movie from an acting perspective. I don't think anyone did good in this film. I believe at one point in this film, it became a Jared Leto commercial for him just to look brooding and not act than it was to put on a performance that was worth anything. Evan Peters is wasted here, and he again insert stock villain. If you know any villain from any sci-fi movie with computers, that's Evan Peters in this movie. Nothing was good. Nothing good performance wise. I'm not even going to single out anyone else. I expected more, at least more from Gillian Anderson in this film, who plays Dillinger's mom or Evan Peters' mom in this film, and another wasted person. Like I don't know if the goal of going into this film was that we're going to let the visuals and hopefully the soundtrack be the lead, and we're not going to care about the characters, but you don't care about any of these characters in this film. Like, I've not seen this much talent wasted in a movie in a long time. nothing is worth watching from an acting perspective. From a storyline perspective, I mean, it kind of was interesting when they was trying to get the codex. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, what's that thing that they were trying to get in here that was exactly what Zod was trying to take from Superman? Like it just gets so silly of a story. At one point in time, I said it reminded me of a Transformers movie. Like it was just so bad and so repetitive. And you kind of wonder if you would have taken more time to develop this story out and did justice to the first Tron movie, maybe you can grab people. But here, if you've seen a sci-fi movie, a bad one in the last 10 years, you know exactly how this story is going to move. It is not interesting. It is as dull as humanly possible. And it's just exacerbated by bad performances from the entire cast. Like I can't, and the actor that Jorge pointed out, I think he was the lone bright spot in the film, but it's still a stock character. And I think that's not what Tron to me was built on. It wasn't built on stock characters. They were built I think this series was built on characters that were interesting and you wanted to know their motives. Here, you don't even have to question it. You know from the beginning of the movie what's going to happen. And at that point, you just have to have, as an audience member, just to sit through this movie and suffer like everyone else who possibly suffered when they was making this movie with these type of characters and this horrible screenplay.
Mike, acting and storyline, real quick.
Biggest issue with the storyline is that this film doesn't connect much to legacy that I would like to, even when it tries to. At in very very points where it's like, okay, I don't care now, because like you had the chance to actually make me lean to my seat, and literally me and another person who had been trying to support this franchise because we know we like it. It's that there are moments I had questioned, this lingering question, this whole movie. I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to spoil it, but like I'm asking, like, where's this character? Where's this character? Because the actual plot, if you've seen the other films, one character who's not in this movie, you're like, oh, this whole plot will go out the window because this character exists. So me in my head, I'm like, did they even watch Tron Legacy? That's the thing that's kind of wrestling in my head. In terms of performances, I thought was Greta Lee. I think that's her name, one of the lead actresses. I thought she did the best she could do in terms of what she was given. In terms of being part of the company and trying to find some way to honor her loss of her sister and everything like that. But at the same time, she's also trying to have somewhat chemistry with Jared Leto performance, which is very wooden and very stiff. But because he's quote unquote gorgeous or have flowing hair or whatever, then we could just forget, everything that he is. We know he's an Academy Award winning actor. However, I feel like, you think that just because now you got the Oscar, you think that you can just phone in performances and we're not going to call it out. No, we are. And this is one of them. And especially in this time today we're in, using Jared Leto to promote this movie right now is not the best light. And with his performance, it doesn't make it any better. Just keeping a buck. You get returning characters for nostalgia, but literally they're just cameos instead of actually plot points and actually serving the story any type of emotional weight or stakes, right? And the actual interesting things they tease you, and for another movie that they'll probably never make. Or I probably have to wait another 13 years for that film to come out. So my kids can go watch those films and understand where I'm in this position. Now disappointed. So yeah. I wish this film was better. I think again, Evan Peters wasted. A lot of other characters I felt that have good talent I've seen in other films, but in this, the story does not serve their performances. And I feel that it becomes a little bit let down. So, but that's not what it's here for. It's for the longest, Disney theme park commercial you've seen this year. So yeah, if it gets you a ticket to go back to Disney parks and Disneyland, whatever, and get your ticket, then this film done its job.
All right. So real quick, I'm gonna transition because somebody just got out of the movies. He's gonna give his quick thoughts, and then we're gonna go into our final ratings of the film and close this out. Busy Brown reaction. What's going on, dude?
Yo, Mike, I love you, my boy. You just be cooking, huh? But not realistically. obviously when it comes to the visuals, there better be good visuals. I mean, it's Disney money. You can't play around with that. But realistically, I mean, I don't know really what I expected. I was like seeing all these big names and I got really excited. I'm like, more Jeff Bridges, maybe more Cameron Monaghan. But then both of those characters kind of just were kind of pushed aside. And I'm like, okay, it would be cool to see more of that. I will say, even though Evan Peters, it was interesting how they used him as an actor. I do feel as though unless they don't do anything more, like they got to do something more, like in the future. Because I mean, especially with the teasers and all that, if they don't pay this off, I mean, I'm gonna be pretty disappointed. But then again, I feel like we've seen time and time again that they, you know, especially Disney, sometimes they aren't gonna pay off things that they, kind of build up for a while. So I don't know exactly where they're gonna go with this, but I will say visually, I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah. So, Busy, just final thoughts on it and rating from A to F. Did you have a good time with it? And just for context, you guys, Busy has not seen any of the other films. This is his first Tron anything experience. So, what was your closing thoughts and review rating?
Obviously, don't make the same mistake I did. You need to see the others for context, but even then, I mean, it's going to be you're still going to be all over the place. But overall, I thought it was fun. Nothing crazy, obviously. I mean, I'm going to give it a solid, maybe B minus. Kind of where I stand, B minus.
Thank you, Busy. Jorge, closing thoughts and rating.
Closing thoughts. I think this movie relied too much on the success that Daft Punk brought to Tron Legacy, which there's very few movies that the soundtrack kind of carries a movie into what it becomes. For me, like Tron Legacy obviously is one. Another one that I think of is Oblivion, the Tom Cruise movie. I think that one's one of the few movies where you can just listen to it with no words and understand the entire movie and enjoy it. I think they were trying to do this and just kind of failed at it. Overall, though, I mean, if you're looking for a mindless, fun, movie that continues like that whole Tron world, you're gonna enjoy this. At the end of the day, is it a perfect film? No, but is it fun and enjoyable? 100%. So for me, just from the fun and enjoyable aspect and being able to continue on that Tron, kind of world, I mean, I would probably give this a very low B. A high C plus, like high C, or low B is where I would put this, but definitely rewatchable, but probably in your house.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Jorge. Mike, closing thoughts and rating real quick.
Closing thoughts. I'll still be in the Tron Legacy cult, for as long as I live, because again, it's tied to my childhood now at this point. But at the same time, now that I'm a grown man, I can still call it for what it is. This wasn't a well-made movie. However, there's some things visually that they do that's beautiful, and if you're there for that, you're probably gonna have an enjoyable experience in the theater. For someone who's a returning fan, I was a little bit disappointed and in parts frustrated because I wanted to actually connect more than what they actually did in this movie. But I'll give this probably either a B minus or a C plus. And I'm probably leaning towards a C plus because there's a lot of things with the plot that really just like, even Tron Legacy was even better in terms of story wise than parts of this. But yeah, and I thought there was waste potential in here, so I think be probably a C plus. But I still enjoyed the film for visual purposes and going along for the ride, like its theme park counterpart. Yeah, C plus.
Thanks, Mike. And Lucas, closing thoughts and rating.
If you are a fan of The Haunted Mansion, Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean, if you see what I'm getting into, if you're a fan of Disney rides turned into films that are horrible movies but make you enjoy the ride more, Tron Ares is for you. If you are a fan of actual movies, do not waste any time watching this travesty of a film. It's bad on every level humanly possible. And this will possibly just kill off any possibility of a Tron movie being done again. This is just proven that at this point, I think Mike said it perfectly. This was a long commercial for Tron. I think it's called Cycle Ride, the thing at Disney World that they do. This is a long commercial for that. And unfortunately, as a moviegoer, you're going to have to sit through this extremely long commercial just to understand how bad this movie is. I don't think any parts of it is executed well. I don't think it's directed well, and it's definitely not written or acted well. My grade would be an F for a movie.
Woo. Jeez. Okay. My closing thoughts for this. I think the Nine Inch Nails tried. Unfortunately, it was fleeting. They had some maybe like 3 good tracks that I thought was pretty decent that fit. I think the cinematography, some of the shots they do, the visual cues, some of the imaginative things that they did with it, I did like. The ideas of the story and where it could have gone, I think were better than what they actually conceptually executed. I think the execution was just a little off here. And it's not as though it was paced wrong. It's just it wasn't intriguing enough to merit where things go. I do think that they wasted Evan Peters. I'm curious to see where this is actually all going to go. But if I had to rate it, I'd give it a B- or a B. I think the problem is it may go lower because I don't know if I would rewatch this film much like I rewatched the other 2. And the last thing I was going to kind of do before we're going to do a little contest for everybody, where do you guys rate this from the other ones? Now, Busy, you don't have a stake in this because you ain't seen the other ones. But where do you rank this one? Already ranked the 3 movies now at this point. I know where you rank it, Lucas.
Is that an honest question?
Third. I know.
I mean, I don't think that would be a question for anyone who's seen Tron. If you've seen Tron as a series at this point,
Yeah,
I don't know.
It would have to be 1, 2, 3.
I don't know, Lucas. Go ahead. What's up, guys?
Yeah, I
Go ahead. Be honest, Jorge.
It's 2, 1, 3.
I would put it 1, 2, 3. But I think
because for me, it's about what would I rewatch right now at any given
moment. And I think from a rewatching, like mindless, like having fun, put it on the background, then it would I'd probably rank it 2, 3, 1. Watching it just if I want to watch visually something just like fun and stunning, like these movies, other than one. Oh, this is gonna sound terrible.
Say it. I already know what you're about to say. You can say
these movies. These movies are like the type of movies that you can put on while you're cleaning the house, and you can like catch a couple glimpses, and you're like, oh, this is good. Like I was telling, I don't know if it was Lucas. I was telling you, like Tron Legacy is one of like my guilty pleasures that I watch to fall asleep.
Yes,
like,
yes.
I put this on
yes,
to fall asleep. And it's still like it's just fun. It's visually cool. It's soothing, you know, like and something I find neat is the colors, the way that they use colors throughout all the movies. You know, like the second one is very much that like light blue and more orangey color.
The light.
This one is more red and white. Like it's almost like what mood are you in? You know, I can see this becoming like mood movies, where depending on where you're at, you turn on whichever film you want.
Yeah.
That's a good. Ugh.
Mike, went a long way to basically say the first one is the only one that's a good movie. But if you like colors, you can watch one of these other 2 movies.
Yes, but I don't want to admit that.
Y'all are ridiculous. Mike, where you rank?
My rank, a part of me wants to do 2, 1, 3 only because of enjoyment value. Like the first one was kind of hard to get through. I'm not gonna lie. Even when I was young, trying to go back to it, I was like, "This is it." oh, but how we get to this to that. But the only reason why I put 3 at the bottom, but not saying like it's completely horrible, is only for the fact of I enjoy parts of this. I enjoyed some of the action scenes that they've done. Again, it makes me entertaining. The first one really is a hard watch for me to get through. Just it's dated. Again, out in the 80s, and it's like there's some films that I can watch that from the 80s, E.T. and stuff like that. Fine, low budget visual effects doesn't matter. I'm still watching that film because it's a phenomenal film. Tron, the original Tron in the 80s, like it's kind of like, okay, if I'm just gonna stick along for it, but if I want to appreciate it for the visual milestone that it was for the industry, then sure. But yeah, I put 2, 1, 3, but then I like parts of 3 better than 1, but I like parts of 1 better than 3. Well, 1 has a better story than 3. 2, yeah.
You sound like Jorge. You sound like you're trying to say 2, 3, 1, but you don't want to say 2,
because
3, 1.
you all are trying to talk yourselves out of one key element here. The only one with a story that makes any sense, a good acting, is 1.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to pick one of the other 2, you're picking it because it has good colors and it looks good. That's the only reason you're picking it. Mike and Jorge literally said it's a background movie. So that means I don't even have to pay attention. Just turn it on and let it play.
So again, for me, regardless of entertainment, regardless of whatever merits of it, 2, 1, 3 is my selection. The true problem with 2 is the CG Jeff Bridges. That shiggity.
But wasn't that one of the first movies that did that de-aging?
Before Marvel tried it, like this was the first concept, and unfortunately, that side of it takes away from the acting, because when you see Jeff Bridges older, he's doing what he is. But anyway, for me, it's 2, 1, 3. That's where I'm at. We gotta go ahead and get into these questions real quick. We're only doing 2. We're gonna be giving a giveaway, you guys. 1 question is gonna be for Tron 1. 1 question is gonna be for Tron 2 Legacy. This is a free digital copy for you guys. So first person gets it, make sure you put it in the comment section below. Once you do it, make sure you contact us on our social media. It doesn't matter if it's our Instagram, our X, or TikTok. Let us know, and we will get that digital code to you. I'll come up with the first question. First question, and this is for
Legacy, because you after you disrespected Tron, you're not allowed to ask questions for Tron. You better ask for Tron Legacy, that shitty movie. Go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. So my question is, what was Kevin Flynn's first program he created to go into the grid? If anybody can answer that question, then you get Tron Legacy. And that is a pivotal part of the second one and the first one. So there you go. Again, the question is, what was the first program that Kevin Flynn created to go into the grid? All right, Lucas got the second question.
For the actual good movie of the series, I'll start off by saying that. There you go. Name the system that Tron enlists help from. The sympathetic system that helps Tron in Tron 1.
Okay. That's a good question. All right, guys. That is for you. Hopefully you guys do enjoy it. If you go to our TikTok, we are giving away a lot more things moving forward. We've got a lot more content that we're posting up as far as interviews, discussions, and a lot of crazy stuff going on, as well as on our Instagram. So stay tuned for that. But without further ado, I'm going to give everybody their credit where credit's due. Mike, where can everybody find your content?
You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and everything at Jedi Mike 7, brought to you by Solo Media. And you can also find me here on TeamJVS, Big Go Belt, Multiverse Color. Also, my review for Tron will be on the Tomato Meter on nerdspin.com. So make sure you check that out following from this recording. So But yeah, that Jedi Mike 7.
Thanks, Mike. And even though he's in the darkness, and Pennywise, I promise, is not going to get him busy. where can everybody find your content?
Find me at Busy Braun everywhere. Content should be heating up too. I mean, I live in Salem and I hate October, so I'm going to be hiding and just recording shit left and right. I do not want to be outside. So
I
you'll see a
promise
lot
you
of
guys,
reviews, a lot of reactions. Should be cool.
He's safe, you guys. I promise. Pennywise is not going to get him. Jorge, where can everybody find your content, man?
Yeah, you can find most of my stuff here, and then also for all you Spanish speakers, you can find a lot of my Spanish reviews over on Oh So Fast Reviews. So be on the lookout for that.
Yes, sir. Last but not least, Lucas.
Well, you can catch some of my stuff here on JVS. You can catch some of my stuff on Big Gold Belt, and soon, because of a rebrand that is going on with Big Gold Belt, you'll be able to find upcoming TV reviews like Welcome to Derry at the Culture Collective, powered by Big Gold Belt.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are out. Go and check out Tron Ares. I almost said Tron Legacy. As soon as you can.
Yeah.
Hopefully you enjoyed our review. Go and check us out in the description bar below. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace, everybody.